Well, hello everyone and welcome. Thank you for tuning in once again to the Health Leaders podcast. We are live at the CNO Exchange in West Palm Beach, Florida. My name is G. Hatfield and I'm the CNO editor with HealthLeaders, and I'm here today with the lovely Melanie Heuston, who is the Chief Nurse Executive at WVU Medicine. And we are here today to recap from last year about the hospital-based diploma program at WVU Medicine. So to recap for our audience, could you tell us a little bit about the program?
Sure. The Center for Nursing Education is a hospital-based diploma program that we launched last year, but was in the works for only a year and a half. And we think it's unique because we don't know of anybody who has started one from scratch. People have expanded it, and it was our way to solve our own problem, if you will. Our boss always likes to say, if there was enough in the pipeline, we wouldn't be doing it. So it was our way to solve a creative problem of pipeline management for nurses.
Absolutely. And last year when we spoke, we talked about how the program really is aiming to increase access for people who don't normally have a pathway into nursing education. So do you believe the program has met that goal so far?
Well, yes, and. So it's been all about reducing barriers. And so the students that have been applying, and I don't remember if I told you this last year, our first cohort had 650 applicants.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and the demand has continued. So today, just to recap back to, we have our cohort of 24 that started last fall. We have accepted our second cohort that started this spring, and we're in the process of offering our third cohort to now, and already starting to get for the next one. So as we've gone through the program, and we do have counselors that help remediate the social determinants of health, and we found there's a lot, but the students are coming in and they're smart. And the one thing I would tell you is people equate social determinants and social barriers with people that are not really bright. And that couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah, absolutely.
People with barriers, they're still really smart, but they have barriers. And so that help that we've given people along the way, we meet with them every week and have a care plan for them to make sure that their needs are met. We can't go and take care of their children, but if they need help finding childcare or housing. So that part has been unbelievable, really and truly.
Absolutely, and it goes to show that, something like this can destigmatize that idea that people with less privilege, can actually still do what they're supposed to do.
Right.
Yeah.
More than 50% are first generation. Nobody in their families ever attended a post-high school education. Many of them do have degrees, though. That's what's interesting, but they weren't able to afford to go to nursing school, or they had barriers, like maybe they had 6 children, and they were doing this later in life. The barriers are numerous, or they just couldn't straight up afford it.
Yeah.
And with us giving them free tuition, free uniforms, a laptop computer, an ability to do laundry, and really addressing all their needs. So no, it's been great, but I would tell you that the issues that people have along their life, they happen. But a lot of nursing schools, like you get pregnant, you're out of school, or you have a family problem, you're out of school, and we really try and help them. But also in the admission criteria, like sometimes people have a bad thing happen in their life, right? And so we look at it individually and say, okay, your GPA might only be a 3.0 because there was a semester in which your mother died. And so we take everything into consideration to look for the best nurse.
Absolutely, and this morning when we were talking about it in our roundtable, you mentioned the one-time pass. So can you kind of explain a little bit about that to our audience?
Well, our one-time pass is the Aspiring Nurse Program.
Okay, yes, that's the other one.
That's another.
Well, if you want to talk about that as well, we can.
I'd be happy to.
Because I've read about that as well, and it seems like a fantastic program.
Yeah, the Aspiring Nurse Program. In fact, I have my colleague here with me that really invented it and created it when it was sort of a brainchild of me and my boss when we looked at, again, things that were preventing people from going to nursing school. And just to give you the brief synopsis of this, is I was starting my job. I went around and I talked to the deans and directors, what's preventing people from filling seats, finishing school? And, because everyone was saying, just pay them tuition, help them with tuition. And when I would meet with people, they're like, it's not the tuition.
Yeah.
They get, grants and things like that from the state. They just can't afford, potentially, they get a flat tire.
Yeah.
They can't go to clinical, and guess what? They don't have $500. One of the surveys we did with nursing students, if they had a crisis that was $1,000, they could not continue to go to school. So we created a program. Instead of giving people sign-on bonuses, we front load it, because after they finish school, they need the money to get through school. And so we give them $500 a semester, $5,000 to use whatever they need. Shelter, food, whatever they need, childcare, and they're allowed to use it for whatever they need. They do sign a work commitment with us, but we tie them, the other secret sauce of the program is they're tied to our, as a colleague already. They come and do their clinical there. We call and check on them. So if something happens, they do get a one-time pass. They have to write up a little essay and say, this is what's happening. And we want to make sure that we think they will be successful because we're investing in them. And the people that we've given one-time passes to, they have a very high success rate of staying in the program too. Right now, our success rate with that program is a 92% retention rate.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I read about that the other day as well, and it seems like both programs pair so beautifully to kind of break down those barriers to entry. So very excited to see that happening as well. So I'm glad it came up.
Yeah.
So last year when we spoke, we talked about some of the hesitations that some education partners had about this program. So what has the industry reaction been to the program, and what has it kind of done for the community?
So it's a kind of a polarized response is what I would tell you. I get calls all the time. How did you do it? I support this. I think it's great. Then I still get some of the calls from academics of organizations that are potentially Ivy League organizations, or they have nursing students applying, in numbers that say, why are you doing this? So it's still very polarizing, I would tell you, but I also have to wait a little bit, because even though I have a lot of applicants, I don't have outcomes yet, right? I don't have graduation rates, pass rates. I would tell you though today, out of our 24 that started almost a year ago, they're all still in the program.
Incredible. Yeah.
So, it's sort of like the proof's in the pudding a little bit. I got to really wait, because we're hoping we have 100% pass rate, but it's still, there's a lot of interest. But I also would say there are some people that would say that it's not good for the profession.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I was going to ask you about outcomes, but instead I'll ask you, what has been the reaction among the cohorts to the program? What are their favorite parts about it?
So, I would tell you one thing is the first cohort's always the first. They're special, they're like your firstborn. And I would also say they've been a little spoiled, if you will, right? Because all the attention's been on them and they get a lot of things. So when the second cohort came in, because it really is, and I'm not just saying this because it's ours, I mean, it's really amazing. I mean, they have a place to do their laundry, they have a food pantry and a hygiene pantry, and then the second cohort came in and they're pretty special too. So that's, it's like this up and down, right? But they've also paled around with them and they've taught them. So that's been good. I think one of the other struggles, not necessarily with the cohorts, is finding faculty. They all say they want to do this, and we haven't had any trouble filling seats, but it's unconventional, right? They're used to the way things have been. So I'll give you an example. We do something called a resolution period, which we don't know of any school that's doing something quite like this. So if they're doing great and they're done and they've finished everything, great. There's 2 more weeks left. If we see somebody's having a little trouble, because we meet with them every week, then we have a 2-week resolution period that if we can help them. If they see their grades aren't, where they need to be. But an example of something that happened just the other day, because they start clinical right away, like the first week, and we've trained their preceptors how to work with them because they're brandy new. Somebody was having trouble with medication, and instead of just saying they're having trouble, I don't think they can pass. So what we did is we took our instructor out to the floor and remediated them right there for 2 weeks, and so then they passed. And so it's really trying to ensure success instead of saying, oh, come back next semester. So, but that's been an adjustment for the faculty too, because they're used to the rigor of school, if you will.
Yeah.
So no, the 2 cohorts are getting along pretty well.
Absolutely. And it speaks to, again, that direct kind of intervention
right
at the point of contact.
Right. Before it becomes a problem and they don't pass through. Now, somebody once asked us, well, does that mean you'll pass everybody? And not true. Like if that person eventually couldn't do that, but sometimes people just need that little bit of help. And what the other students love, that they get out 2 weeks off early then, if there's no remediation. And we've actually had to do it twice.
Absolutely, yeah. And again, it goes to show people are capable when given grace.
Right,
Empathy.
exactly.
So, yeah, absolutely. So my last question for you, are there any new challenges that have come up in the program, and what does it look like for the future?
So the new challenge I would tell you is we're expanding already. So like you're still building and you're expanding. So we've had approval from the State Board of Nursing and from the hospitals to build a extension, an additional instructional site on the east of the state, and then in Wheeling, West Virginia. So it's East West Virginia and then Wheeling. And they have to be almost similar. They can't, they're like a smaller, we're not supposed to call them branches, additional instructional sites, because it's under the same license, for 24 a year. And we're still developing the one we have and then building other ones, which is a lot. And I also need to give a shout out to Dr. Tanya Rogers, who does all this work. I mean, I just help her is what I would say. Try and take barriers out of her way. But that's what I think it's hard to coach, mentor, keep everything going, because it's a school and things happen. People fall and break their arm. We had a student pass out at clinical the other day,
Yeah.
And so it's still those kinds of things. So I would say that building and then expanding quickly.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again so much for the update this year. And I'm, again, really excited to see the first graduating class when that eventually happens, and we'll talk again.
Stay tuned.
We'll stay tuned, yeah. And happy CNO Exchange. We'll be back with more later.